I have no idea what this is, but I love it.
Hi guys, today I'm going to talk about JavaScript Canvas. This is a very underrated feature and few people exploit its potential, so let's get to the point and learn how to use it. What is a JavaScript Canvas? Well, some people usually call it HTML Canvas because it's an HTML element, but we're going to control it using JavaScript, so that's why I personally prefer to call it like that. Let's create this canvas element in a new index.html, and I'm going to give it some styles. Now this square is our canvas. How can we start using it? First, we need a reference to the canvas element so we can use it. I'm going to give it a canvas ID to store it in a variable in JavaScript. And now I'm going to explain something. This is our canvas. To modify it, we need an object called context. This object is a reference to the two-dimensional rendering context of the HTML canvas. It provides methods and properties that allow you to draw and manipulate graphics on the canvas. To get this object, we use a method of the canvas element called getContext, specifying in the parameters that we want to obtain the 2D context. Also, we need to set the canvas width and height, so that what we render has the right resolutions. Now that we have everything set up, let's start looking at how to draw simple shapes. To render a rectangle, we use a method called fillRect, which receives 4 parameters: x, y, width, and height. The first two are the position of the rectangle, and the others are the size of it. I will try different parameters so you can see how it works. Now, let's see how we can change the color. With this method, we are filling a rectangle on the canvas. So to change the color, we need to use this method, which defines the style of the filling we are rendering. We can simply give it a value like red or yellow, or RGB colors, but we will see about that later. And what if I want to create the outline of a square and not fill a square? In that case, instead of using fillRect, we use strokeRect, and when we check it, we see that it works, but there's a problem, and that is that the color we gave, in this case red, is no longer being applied. That's because a canvas has two rendering modes, fill and stroke. Fill renders the inner part of a shape, and stroke renders the outline. These modes have their own style, so to change the color of the outline, we need to use stroke style instead of fill style. And that's how we draw squares. Let's see how to draw lines. For this, we're going to use a new method, beginPath. This will begin tracing a new line. Now we have to give it a starting point, and for that we use the moveTo method. It basically moves the pen to the coordinates that we give it, so it starts drawing from that point. Now, to take the trace to different places, we use the line2 method. I'm going to briefly explain what we are doing. First, we begin the path, and then we move the pen to a starting position. Next, we draw a line to one point, and then to another, and another, and another, and another. It's simple. This is how we can draw any type of line. Now, we're going to see how to draw circles. First, we start a new path. Then we use this new method called arc, which receives the following parameters. X and Y are the coordinates. Radius is, well, the radius of the circle, and then we have a start angle and end angle. These properties are measured in radians. I'm not going to explain what a radian is in this video because I will be getting into a complex topic that has nothing to do with the JavaScript canvas. But to draw a complete circle, we simply put a value of 0 to a start angle and mat.p times 2 to an angle. When we run this, we won't see anything on our canvas. This is because this method works like line 2. It moves the pen, but doesn't render anything. For this we use the stroke or fill method.
But Manu, I want to draw this shape on my canvas. It's really important. How can I do that?
Easy. Do you remember how to draw lines, right? Well, if we draw the outline of a shape, and instead of using stroke we use fill, the space inside the line will be filled, forming a custom shape. That's how you can make that shape, Matthew. Now I'm going to show you some interesting stuff you can do with the JavaScript canvas. Using a for loop, we can make patterns like this. We can use mat.random to randomize values like the color and the size. We can use events to draw shapes when you click the canvas. But what I like the most is to use intervals mixing everything mentioned before to create this abomination. I'm going to explain how I did this. Basically, this is an interval that generates random shapes and then fades them out. So first we're going to learn how to do a createRandomShape function. What values do we need? We need a random shape, a random position, a random size, and a random color. Since we need to create several random variables, I'm going to make a function that gives me a random number between two values. Let's start by generating a shape. Let's say we want three possibilities: square, triangle, and circle. We declare a variable that is minimum 0 and maximum 2. And then we write a switch depending on its value. But first we're going to declare the random variables of the position, the size, and the color. Let's start now with the render of the shapes. In case that the variable is 0, we're going to draw a rectangle. This is the easiest because we simply have to put the position and the size in the parameter. To make a triangle is more complicated. First we start a path. We move the pen to the random position. Then we make a line to that position adding the size to x. Then we make another line to x plus the size divided by 2 and y minus the size. Finally, we close the path. If you didn't understand anything, I'm going to explain it quickly. Let's say these are the random values that were generated. We start from the position, then we make a line adding the size to the x position, then we make another line decreasing the size of the y position, and in the case of x, we have to add the size divided by 2 so that it's in the middle. Finally, we use this method that we did not see but that basically closed the path we were tracing, returning to the starting point. In this way, by adding the fill method, we render a triangle. For the last shape, which will be the circle, we simply put the random position, and where the radius goes, we put the size. That will be all for this function. Now let's create an interval and see if it works. As we can see, we have a function that draws shapes with random parameters on our canvas. To obtain a result similar to the beginning, we can call the function several times.
Now there's only one thing missing: make the shapes disappear. This is very simple. First, we make the fill style a white color with 50% opacity. And then we render a square on the entire canvas before drawing the new shapes. This way we clean the screen each time the interval is executed. And this is the result. It's not very useful, but it helped us understand how to manage the JavaScript canvas.
So that's it. The JavaScript canvas has a lot of functionalities and interesting methods, but in this video we have only seen the basics. You can delve in Mozilla documentation to learn more about how far you can go.
Manu. I have a great idea. What if I use mouse events to create a web paint, in which you can draw shapes, lines, mix colors, and add customizable options?
Shut up, this idea is mine, and in the next video I will teach you how to make your own paint using JavaScript. So subscribe so you don't miss it. Goodbye.